Janina
These divine sounds, refined through the songs, mantras, and rituals performed by the Brahmins and Rishis, carried yoga's message for thousands of years, until the last of the Vedas, the Upanishads, appeared somewhere around 800 to 500 BCE. This series of sacred texts containing over 200 scriptures, along with the other Vedas, are thought to have provided the spiritual core and philosophical foundations for the future development of both yoga and Hinduism. Then, beginning around 1000 CE and lasting over 800 years, India was invaded, and entire cities were burnt down, and the populations massacred. Not only were their lives in danger, but their entire culture was facing extinction. Yoga went underground, and the mystical teachings that had been so patiently and devotedly distilled and refined were fractalized.
Many of these practices were banned. Yoga was banned, martial art was banned. If they were caught, they were imprisoned for life. So much of these ancient teachings became hidden, and it was practiced only by some of the masters.
What emerged was a mishmash of various ideas, beliefs, and techniques that often conflicted and contradicted each other. And then, sometime between 300 and 1,000 years later, Patanjali emerged and is thought to have created the Yoga Sutras, the first systematic presentation of yoga.
Patanjali's Yoga Sutra encapsulates in less than 200 short sentences the problem, the path, and the resolution.
And so it's explaining how, through these various practices, you can achieve enlightenment, which is termed within the text Kaivalya.
The Yoga Sutras of Patanjali refers to the 8 limbs of yoga and systematically outlines a process of encountering, examining, and transcending each of the various gross and subtle levels of false identity or ego until only the jewel of the true self is left. Because one limb builds on another, the Eightfold Path has sometimes been depicted as a tree. The trunk is the common life of egoic self-involvement. The branches are the uncommon realizations of the inner world. The leaves and fruit are the self beyond the ego. The 8 limbs of YAMA, NIYAMA, ASANA, PRANAYAMA, PRATYAHARA, DHARANA, DHYANA, and SAMADHI offer guidance on how to live a meaningful and purposeful life.
It's a very systematic way to learn how to, 1, recognize the mind, 2, purify the mind, 3, focus the mind, and then ultimately learn how to subdue or silence the mind so that we get an expanded awareness and consciousness when our mind becomes quiet.
What's interesting to note is that while Patanjali's Eightfold Path is seen to provide all one needs to live an intentional life, it mentions no poses at all, other than the seated meditation posture. In fact, the Sanskrit word asana, as used in the Yoga Sutras, means posture or seat, and are intended as ways you could sit for extended amounts of time with the sole purpose of cultivating awareness.
At least 2,000 years ago, you start seeing the Buddha and the Jain saints in lotus position and other postures that are suitable, provide a kind of steady, solid base for meditation. The way yoga is understood in those early texts is a way of kind of just completely stilling the body and stilling the mind.
Then, in the mid-20th century, a 5'2" giant hit the yoga scene. Born in a small Indian village, T. Krishnamacharya ascribed therapeutic value to specific asanas and refined the postures in a sequential order, making them an integral part of meditation, instead of just a step leading toward it. Krishnamacharya's yoga instruction reflected his beliefs that yoga could be both a spiritual practice and a mode of physical healing.
He brought yoga for the general public. Down to earth, he did that a common man will adopt yoga. And that is what is needed. Otherwise, everybody has got a picture in the mind quite different. Oh, if you have to become a yogi, you have to be completely a different person, or having different personality, having different tendencies. But here, Krishnamacharya introduces it to the normal, common people.
He repackaged, reformulated yoga for a global audience that perhaps had different needs from it than what was prior to him. He's clearly, whatever the influences were, he came up with something very special, which has captured people all around the world and continues to do so.
Though he never left his native home of India, today it's difficult to find a yoga tradition Krishnamacharya hasn't influenced. From the primitive drawings of the ancients to the sophisticated science of quantum physics, the desire to transcend the human condition and go beyond our ordinary existence into the very essence of what we call consciousness is a deeply rooted human impulse.
There is this incredible mystery, and that is why yoga, in the great Master Buddha said, awakening is not the end, it is the beginning.